midnight and you're tuning in to Nightline with me, Nurin Razmyn. News making the headlines. Anwar says there is no need to issue new guidelines for Muslim participation in non-Muslim celebrations. And GOF bus illegal e-waste plant seizes 21.8 million ringgit worth of materials. Good morning. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim will be receiving medical treatment abroad. Istana Negara informed that the matter has been conveyed to the Conference of Rulers and the federal government. His Majesty departed from the Royal Malaysian Air Force Base in Subang, Selangor in a private aircraft on Friday. Accompanying His Majesty were Tengku Panglima Johor Tunku Abdul Rahman Sultan Ibrahim and Tunku Putra Johor Tunku Abu Bakar Sultan Ibrahim. In its statement, Istana Negara urged the public to pray for the King's swift recovery and continued good health. There is no need to introduce guidelines for Muslims attending events at non-Muslim places of worship. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim emphasized that what matters is that Muslims understand how to safeguard their faith when attending such events. The Prime Minister was met during a visit to Batu Caves, which will be the focal point of the Thaipusam celebrations next Tuesday. He reiterated that Islam is the official religion of the Federation, while other religions are respected and their followers' rights are also protected.
Kalau kita nak pastikan negeri ini aman, kita kena jaga semua pihak. Ya. Maknanya ini hari ini saya hadir, ya. Ini upacara masyarakat India. Saya bukan masuk kepada upacara agama Hindu. Begitu juga kalau Tan Sri Nandaraja pergi ke kawasan masjid untuk majlis kenduri dan sebagainya, dia bukan pergi ke upacara agama Islam tapi untuk majlis.
Commenting further on the matter, he stressed that there is no issue with Muslims attending events at non-Muslim places of worship as long as they do not violate religious boundaries.
Tak perlu nak bagi penjelasan ke peraturan ke panduan, garis panduan, tidak perlu. Yang perlu orang Islam jaga akidah dia bahawa ada peraturannya, ada yang tak boleh dilanggar.
As such, he said the cabinet had agreed on Friday that there is no need for guidelines regulating Muslim attendance at events held at non-Muslim places of worship.
Jadi jangan persulitkan, jangan menimbulkan kerisauan dalam masyarakat. Ini saya nak tegaskan keputusan Muktamad Jemaah Menteri pagi tadi. Dan saya akan persembahkan kepada Ke Bawah Duli Yang Maha Mulia Tuanku Sultan Nazrin yang menjadi pengurusi Majlis Kemajuan Islam.
Meanwhile, the cabinet has agreed that the Malaysian Islamic Development Department JAKIM may provide advice to Muslims on the importance of safeguarding their faith when attending events at non-Muslim places of worship. However, this advice does not constitute as an official policy directive. This was stated in a joint statement by the Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Datuk Muhammad Naim Mokhtar, and the National Unity Minister, Datuk Aaron Ago Dagang. According to the statement, the Cabinet agreed that any policy must take into account national unity and must receive prior approval from the Cabinet. The statement also noted that the National Unity Ministry will continue to carry out harmony dialogues to strengthen interfaith harmony and encourage interaction among followers of different religions in the country. In the meantime, the Prime Minister said the government will provide any necessary assistance needed to ensure a smooth and peaceful Thaipusam celebration at Batu Caves.
Thaipusam itu penting bagi masyarakat Hindu dan kita bantu dari segi apa yang harus supaya masyarakat Hindu rasa dia dapat selesa jalankan amal agama dia tanpa apa-apa masalah dan gangguan.
He also expressed appreciation for the approximately 1,500 police personnel who will be on duty next Tuesday to ensure a smooth celebration. Anwar further assured that Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari will look into the long-delayed development of a hall at the temple, which has been stalled due to land status and administrative technicalities. The Transport Ministry has approved 3 new companies to provide motor vehicle inspection services aside from Puspacom. Its Minister Anthony Loke said the appointments were made in line with the Cabinet's decision to open motor vehicle inspection services to other qualified companies. The newly appointed companies will operate in Port Klang, Rawang, Gua Musang, Mersing, Termelo, Kuching, and Serian, Sarawak. Loke stressed that the appointments were made based on several key criteria. Among others, the companies must also have a strong financial position with a minimum paid-up capital of 10 million ringgit, be private limited companies, and have local ownership. The companies must also meet the key criteria set out in the application guidelines, and the locations they applied for align with the list of services established by the ministry. The Malaysian Highway Authority (MHA) will enforce expanded restrictions on heavy vehicles during peak hours. The restrictions would include selected highways in the Klang Valley starting February 19th. Affected highways include the South Klang Valley Expressway Plus from Sungai Buloh to Bukit Lanjan, the new Klang Valley Expressway (NKVE) from Shah Alam to Jalan Duta, the North-South Expressway Central Link Elite from Shah Alam to Bandar Saujana Putra, and the entirety of the Duta Ulu Kelang Expressway Duke. MHA Director General Datuk Zazali Harun said the measure follows the government's gazettement on October 21, 2024 and is part of the initiative by the Cabinet Committee on Road Safety and Traffic Congestion to ease traffic flow in the Klang Valley and Kuala Lumpur City Centre. However, exceptions apply for vehicles involved in cleaning, domestic waste collection, emergency services, enforcement, and the highway maintenance work. The new restrictions will run from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. from Monday to Friday, excluding public holidays, and will complement the pre-existing restriction between 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Both restrictions cover Class 2 heavy vehicles, 2 axles and 6 wheels, excluding buses, and Class 3 heavy vehicles, 3 axles or more, excluding buses. Agriculture and Food Security Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu is set to deliver a ministerial statement on the paddy issue next Thursday. Unity Government spokesperson Fahmi Fadzil said Muhammad will do so in Parliament to be followed by a debate.
Jemaah Menteri telah dimaklumkan oleh Menteri Pertanian dan Keterjaminan Makanan bahawa beliau akan menyampaikan kenyataan Menteri ataupun ministerial statement di Parlimen pada 13 hari bulan Februari, hari Khamis, ya, mengenai isu beras, khusus berkait harga lantai bagi padi.
Fahmi said this in a press conference after a cabinet meeting in Putrajaya on Friday. On January 27th, the Malaysian Paddy Farmers Brotherhood Organisation, PESAWA, delivered a memorandum to the Prime Minister's office and the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. In the memorandum, PESAWA called for an increase in the paddy floor price from 1,300 ringgit per tonne to 1,800 ringgit per tonne and opposed the plant seed quality bill, claiming that the bill would burden small-scale paddy farmers. Following this, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, during the question and answer session in the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday, announced that the government will reveal the new paddy floor price increase next week. In the same development, the Malaysian Retailers Association (MRA) Vice President Yong Eng Kwang stated that domestic rice prices depend not only on global trends but also on domestic factors and government policies.
The government is expected to raise the minimum purchase price of paddy to boost farmer income and encourage productions. This could lead to higher rice price due to increased production costs. So our view, although global factors support a price drop, Government of Malaysia's policy may stabilize or even slightly increase rice prices in Malaysia in the near future.
Malaysia's paddy production declined by 8% in 2024 due to dry weather, while domestic demand continues to rise. In order to stabilize supply, rice import activities have increased, making prices dependent on the global market. In the meantime, the global rice futures contract price has plunged to its lowest level in more than 3 years. The decline reflects a rising supply following changes in export policies by several major producing countries. The rice futures contract price fell to 59.83 ringgit per 100 pounds on February 5th, compared to 67.42 ringgit recovered in January, marking the lowest level since November 8, 2021. The decline was driven by India and Pakistan's decision to lift export restrictions and remove price caps in late September 2024, leading to a surplus in the global market. The Northern Brigade of the General Operations Force uncovered an illegal factory processing and storing e-waste in Machang Bubuk, Pulau Pinang, seizing materials worth 21.8 million ringgit. Acting on a tip-off and 2 weeks of intelligence gathering, authorities raided the factory at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, discovering various e-waste materials, machinery, and processing equipment. GOF Northern Brigade Commander, Senior Assistant Commissioner Shahrum Hashim said the raid was carried out by the brigade's intelligence branch alongside the State Environment Department, leading to the arrest of 11 foreign workers. Authorities received information about e-waste processing in the area and conducted surveillance, including drone monitoring, before raiding the factory, which was located along the main road within an oil palm plantation. Those nabbed were a Chinese woman who was the manager, 9 Myanmar women, and a Bangladeshi man, all aged between 30 and 40. Initial investigations revealed that only the Chinese woman had a passport which had expired. She had entered the country as a tourist in January last year, while the 10 others did not have any travel documents. The factory was found to be in violation of the Environmental Quality Act as well as the Local Government Act under the bylaws on licensing of premises, trade, business, and industry. All foreign nationals will be handed over to the Malaysian Immigration Department for further action. In Selangor, a married couple was charged at the Bangi Magistrates Court on Friday with causing the death of their 7-year-old daughter. The accused, 40-year-old Lim Ye Yang, and his wife, 38-year-old Chan Sun Sun, nodded in understanding when the charges were read before Magistrate Nordi Yana Muhammad Nawawi. The husband and wife allegedly caused the death of their daughter at a house in Eco Majestic, Semenye, on January 29th. No plea was recorded as the case falls under the jurisdiction of the High Court. The charge was framed under the Penal Code for murder, which carries the death penalty or a maximum of 40 years imprisonment, along with up to 12 strokes of the cane upon conviction. The court fixed April 22nd for next case mention. Previously, Kajang District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Nazwan Abdul Yusuf said the couple had brought their unconscious daughter to the emergency ward of Kajang Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. The post-mortem results revealed multiple injuries consistent with abuse, both old and new, on the victim's body. Malaysia's Industrial Production Index, IPI, grew by 4.6% in December 2024. According to the Department of Statistics, DOSM, the growth was driven by expansion across the mining, manufacturing, and electricity sectors. The manufacturing sector recorded a 4.6% increase, fueled by growth in export-oriented industries, while the mining sector rebounded with a 0.4% increase, supported by a rise in the natural gas index. At the same time, the electricity sector grew by 3.5%, following a 3.9% increase in the previous month. For the full year, the IPI expanded by 3.8% in 2024, a significant improvement from 0.7% in 2023, supported by positive growth in all sectors. The Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation (MDEC) is committed to accelerating the digital transformation of small and medium enterprises (SMEs) across the country in an effort to enhance their competitiveness in the digital economy. MDEC Chief Executive Officer Anwar Faris Fadzil said the initiative aims to equip SMEs with the necessary tools, knowledge and support in order to thrive in the rapidly evolving digital economy. The SME programs are designed to address industry-specific challenges faced by businesses in adapting to and expanding their digital transformation efforts. The agency is also collaborating with key stakeholders to develop practical solutions, establish a strong support ecosystem, and organize dialogue sessions to exchange insights and best practices.
How will Malaysia's leadership in 2025 redefine ASEAN's global role? In what ways can Malaysia strengthen ASEAN's unity and progress? What bold actions can Malaysia take to drive ASEAN's growth and influence? Muhammad Ahmad Hamdan speaks with Tan Sri Dr. Munir Majid only on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
India's central bank cut interest rates for the first time in nearly 5 years on Friday to counter slowing growth in Asia's third largest economy. The Reserve Bank of India, RBI, reduced its repo rate from 6.5% to 6.25% in line with the expectations of many economists. The rate cut could lead to marginally lower mortgage and credit card interest rates, as well as cheaper borrowing costs for companies. The central bank's rate reduction follows a range of measures previously announced, including an injection of $18 billion into the domestic banking system to ease a cash shortage in the economy. It had also cut the cash reserve ratio, or the reserves commercial banks need to maintain with the RBI, by 0.5% in December. Perak share spoils with Kuching after draw. Actions from the Super League after this breather.
Kalau semua ejen dah pakai Iris, Mata perlukan saya lagi ke?
Kenapa semangat sangat nak kejar aku sampai sini?
Semua rimau aku serang. Aku masih boleh tendang. Kalau nampak jangan jengah. Kalau kacau pendang kami nanti dengar gendang perang. Lepas lawan yang di sini lawan yang sebelah. Kita jaga kita.
Adakah anda sudah bersedia? Fenomena bakal tercipta. Mary Grace, Jimmy, Kai Deva, Sazli. Finale Kalpesoda 1 in a Million. Ahad 9 Februari 9 malam di TV3.
Sports now. Football, the Super League. 2 games took place on Friday night. Penang FC thrashed Kelantan Darul Naim FC 6-1, while Perak FC were held to a 1-1 draw away by Kuching City FC. At the Sarawak State Stadium, the visitors opened the scoring 14 minutes into the game through Firdaus Sayadi. The hosts then pushed harder for a goal and managed to score in the 71st minute when Ramadan Saifullah slotted home to equalize, forcing Perak to settle for a share of the points. With the result, Perak are now in 5th place with 23 points, 1 point ahead of Kuching City. Still on football, the Brazilian Paulista Championship. Hugo Souza saved a stoppage time penalty as 10-man Corinthians battled to a 1-1 draw away with Palmeiras in the competition's first derby of 2025. Mauricio Prado opened the scoring for Palmeiras early in the match when he fired home from close range in the 9th minute. Stunned Corinthians fought back and drew level after Yuri Arbeto slotted in Memphis Depay's brilliant through ball just before halftime. Things took a turn for the worse for Corinthians as Alberto was sent off after the break following a second yellow card. Despite the one-man advantage, Palmeiras struggled to convert their chances as Corinthians goalkeeper Souza saved a penalty from Estevao in the stoppage time, ensuring a share of the points. Moving on to tennis, the 2025 Rotterdam Open. Carlos Alcaraz is into the quarterfinals on Thursday with a clinical straight sets win over Andrea Vavasori of Italy. The world number 3 Spaniard successfully subdued Vavasori with some sublime shot making before claiming a dominant 6-2, 6-1 victory after just 64 minutes on court. Awaiting him in the next round will be fellow compatriot Pedro Martinez. Earlier, Martinez reached the quarterfinals by edging out Holger Rune 6-4, 6-1. It was a dominant performance in the return game for Martinez, who broke Rune 4 times while advancing in 1 hour and 23 minutes. The Dane, who was dealing with an illness, fought his best but could not prevail over the Spaniard. Philippines Duterte mauls presidential bid amid impeachment fight. The details when Nightline returns.
Empat finalis, satu gelaran juara. Siapakah yang bakal mencipta sejarah? Saksikan persembahan eksklusif penuh majlis daripada Datuk Sri Siti Nurhaliza, Ella, serta penampilan Faizal Tahir dan bintang tersohor Indonesia, Nicholas Saputra sebagai juri. Malam penuh kejutan, kemuncak segala impian, malam paling fizz, finale Calpes Soda 1 in a Million. Ahad 9 Februari 9 malam di TV3 dan stream langsung di Tonton.
Aku jelmakan aura sesiapa yang lihat aku terpesona sinarannya
Aku pernah bertanya kepada Tuhan, kenapa hidup ni tak adil? Tapi aku percaya dengan keazaman, doa, nasib boleh diubah. Aku bekerja keras, menyanyi di jalanan tak kira waktu, tempat dan masa. Aku berjuang dalam pertandingan demi merubah nasib hidupku. Aku percaya takdir ini milik aku. 1 juta dalam genggamanku.
Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte on Friday said she had yet to consider stepping down and was still weighing a run for president, despite her dramatic impeachment this week by the House of Representatives. In her first public comment since the impeachment, the 46-year-old said the case was now in the hands of her lawyers. Asked if she had given any thought to resigning, the Vice President said she had yet to arrive at a decision. She added that a potential 2028 run for president still remained firmly on the table. Meanwhile, following the House's impeachment vote, the Senate is due to rule on whether to remove her from office. If convicted in the Senate trial, she would be barred from running for future public office, something that could be avoided should she decide to step down in advance. In the U.S., a plane carrying 10 people went missing in rural Alaska during a dangerous winter storm, with search and rescue crews now scouring the ground and medical personnel standing ready. The overdue aircraft, operated by Bering Air, was reported missing just before 4 p.m. local time on Thursday, while en route to Nome in the west of the state. According to officials, 9 passengers and a pilot were on board the vessel. The plane took off from Unalakleet at 2:37 p.m. and officials lost contact with it less than an hour later and just 10 minutes before arrival. The Nome Volunteer Fire Department are currently conducting an active ground search in the area and the White Mountains. However, the search has been hampered by poor weather conditions and visibility. The International Criminal Court, ICC, on Friday has condemned an executive order issued by the United States seeking to impose sanctions on the court's officials and harm its independent and impartial judicial work. In a press statement, the ICC said it stands firmly by its personnel and pledges to continue providing justice and hope to millions of innocent victims of atrocities across the world in all situations before it. The court then called on their 125 member states, civil society, and all nations of the world to stand united for justice and fundamental human rights. On Thursday, U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the ICC for alleged illegal actions against the United States and Israel. The order, which was published by the White House, includes a ban on the entry of ICC officials, staff, and personnel into the United States, as well as their immediate family members. The ICC, based in The Hague, had previously issued arrest warrants in November 2024 for Israeli officials Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant for war crimes against the Palestinian people. On another matter, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on Friday said experience had proven that talks with the United States are not rational, wise, or honorable. Referring to Trump's proposal to forcibly remove Palestinians from Gaza to neighboring Arab countries, Khamenei said the U.S. president's attempt to redraw the map of the world is devoid of reality. He added that Iran holds the United States responsible for the consequences and repercussions of such unilateral and bullying actions. Time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at Spanish runner and mother of 8 Estefania Unzuripol was crowned the overall winner of the 2025 World Marathon Challenge. With that, I'm Nurin Razmyn. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.